Yeah, early in my career I was influenced by the great Sean Fitzpatrick actually as a leader, and I was very fortunate. I got to captain the All Blacks 4 times, didn't lose a test. That's what I wanted to say.
Just moving right along.
Just moving right along. I was thinking, well, you could be captain, but you probably lost his captain. You lost a few, did you? Yeah, maybe anybody else? Yeah, I didn't lose one, so I'm probably quite appropriate to talk about leadership. I think it's important to get a strong leader, somebody who's supremely confident and is also inspirational, and you know, to be able to captain the All Blacks 4 times, while the great man himself, this was in a time, was showing my age a little bit, that Fitzy, before the grey hairs, was still playing rugby, and he unfortunately had a chronic knee injury, so from week to week he was supposed to play, supposed to captain, but I was the next cab off the rank, so to speak, and each week he was unable to get through the final training run, so I got to captain, and that was a very enjoyable part of my career, and it's something that I do remember fondly. But I think leadership's about the people you have around you. You know, it's me. Like I was very fortunate that in the team that I was involved with, there was leaders within. It only had a group of players to be able to come together to sort of help you along in that role, and basically you can just guide the ship as much as you can, but it's all the people around you that make a big difference. So I was very lucky in that way, but you probably really can't say anything about that because you weren't as successful as me.
We did lose a lot, I think part of leadership too is being able to, you've never had to experience this as a leader, but I did many a time, is getting people to focus on the next match, because as I said, you sometimes win, you sometimes lose. So when you lose, it's important that you get the playing group to think positively and be honest with each other, individually and as a group, on how they can perform better. And that, you always go through that process, I think, when you're winning as well, but it's obvious something you definitely need to do when you're losing. And then you move on to the next training week, the next challenge. There's always another challenge, and you go everything you can to make that week as good as possible. It's a good chance of winning. It sounds really simple, and it's made easier, as Marshy says, and I think if you ask Fitzy, if you ask anyone who's led a team, you're surrounded by good leaders within the group, and that's really, really important because they support the captain, they help get the message across from not only the captain but the other coaches within the group, and you're pulling in the right direction, and that's really, really important. And the good teams I play at, there's probably maybe 5 or 6 guys I think who could probably have captained the team. They didn't have the C beside their name, but they were very, very important, and that's really, really, I think, an important aspect of winning teams.
Can I ask you a question? Right. So George, is it true, I've heard a rumour that like every time that the Wallabies were playing the All Blacks and you knew you were playing against me, that because I was the benchmark, you were really tried to sort of psych yourself up and basically get yourself to a level that would keep you at the top for as long as you could?
Well, you've obviously heard, who does your research?
It's just something I heard, it's just a rumour. It's good,
it's good. I actually had a Justin Marshall shrine, probably from the 1992 match, and he actually had his own book. It's called the Matharau Kid, isn't it? The Hot Kid?
Yes, that's called.
And that's where he's from, in New Zealand. So I got one signed, and I had it in my lock every time we played the Crusaders / the All Blacks. And it was one of those things I look at, realising I was playing the benchmark. At that stage, you didn't have this colour in your hair. You obviously didn't surf a lot, with lots of lemon juice. And I'd look at it and I'd say, you know what?
This guy,
well, it doesn't get any better than this. I'm playing, well, he wasn't around at that stage, but I'm playing the Tiger Woods, the Bobby Jones in golf, the Roger Federer. Yeah. Don't embarrass yourself. That's what I'd say to myself when I go out on the field, and that's all I could do.
Well, you did well. Good kid.
And your research is fantastic. Thank you.
So we had a lot of our parents who came in and ran stalls, and a lot of students got involved. And none of you know this now, but we were up all night counting all the coins that we got you to raise from your parents, and you managed to raise $78,000. So it's a tremendous effort for them. You should probably give yourself an applause.
land-based disasters, I think from afar, and you look at it, I think the community spirit, not just within, say, Christchurch or in the country of Japan, but internationally, I think it's been amazing. And people, which is, I think the great thing which you can take out of these natural disasters is that human spirit, which is fantastic. And people like here at this school, it's another great example. Like the children here and the families have contributed 78,000, which is going to make a difference. It really will. And there's that sort of thought process and that sort of action happening everywhere, which is fantastic. A charitable point of view, I have a foundation like a lot of people, I think a lot of players will tell you this, in some shape or form they'll support something in their community. And from us, it was from a personal experience with our son. He suffers from epilepsy, and that happened in 2004. And we had a short period of time compared to a lot of families in the children's hospital. And in that sort of 10-day period, we realised, once we got all the fantastic, some of the world-class neurologists telling us what we need to do to move forward and manage it. In the hospital facility, there wasn't a playground. Kids like to play. You've got your outdoor field or do a coaching clinic. And if you look everywhere around the world, that's one thing you'll see, there's playgrounds, kids like to play. And they didn't have it at the children's hospital. We just said, why don't you? And they said, well, it's not that we haven't wanted to do it, it's just that we don't have the money. We allocate our funds in other parts of the hospital, which we deem to be more important. That's what we made the decision on. We said, well, we're about to raise some funds. We wanted to build children's playgrounds after this experience and help us find a space so we can do it. And we did that in 2005. That was when we raised all the money. We built it by 2006, and we built another 3. We're in the process of probably building another 2 or 3 throughout the country. Our aim is to do it throughout Australia, children's playgrounds, and it's just a really important and simple part of the recovery process when kids are at hospital. Playing is really important for the kids, it's really important for the families who stay there for extended periods of time, and it's simple, and that's what we do. So we'll continue doing that. We obviously support a couple of doctors too, but a lot of people do these types of things in the community, and again, if there's one thing in terms of like getting an education and all that, you can always help, and that's just a fantastic attitude to have, and do whatever you can to help people, because you never know when you're going to need it.
Our students have been very successful in terms of doing that engagement, and George, having seen that, if you go to georgegreenfoundation.com, you can read more about what he's doing. With your gardens, I know you've got a brick policy where you can buy bricks, so I'm pleased to request that if we can buy a brick in each one of your gardens throughout Australia, we've got a donation for $5,000 Hong Kong dollars. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
You get a picture of the tile with the school's name inscribed on it, and it'll be there forever. So thank you for that.
Great, thanks.